The Marines are looking for a few good men who are not afraid to be brave. God is looking for men and women who know who our heroes are. The world puts up images of people who we're supposed to imitate. I'd like to propose to you a person who is well worth imitating. Our times are divided, our church is divided, our world is divided. But this is nothing new. Israel was divided, 10 against 2, 10 tribes against 2 tribes. The president, or rather the king of Israel, knew that if the people went back to Jerusalem to worship, it wouldn't be long before they would become one again with Judah. And so he allowed them or encouraged them to worship God, the true God, on mountains long passed by, for the only one place for the temple was in Jerusalem. By that step of true God but false worship was not enough. It ended up in the time of Ahab to be the worship of many gods on those high places, false gods. And this is what we're at now. Many gods worshipped in our country, even the devil worshipped in our country. And what's the solution? Some people throw up their hands and say, well, I can't do anything. It's impossible to change. Or we can take the solution that the hero I would propose to you is a man whose name is Yahweh is my God, Elias or Elijah. He wasn't called by God to reestablish the kingdom united. He wasn't called by God to make the people go back to the true worship of the true God in the one place the temple existed in Jerusalem. He was just called by God to stop the false worship of false gods. We want everything or nothing. We want to have success. We think if we can just fill the churches again, worshiping the true God in the right way, everything will be fine. But maybe we have to be satisfied with doing as Elias did, just our part. Stopping the worship of false gods. The first commandment. And if that first commandment is followed, all the others will fall in place. What do you pray for? It's a very important question. Because to do the work of Elias, you have to be despised by men. He was despised by the king, by the queen, by the 450 prophets, by the people. He thought he was the only one that followed God. How many of us would be brave enough to stand among a crowd of 450 false prophets and speak our truth, speak the truth? How many are willing to pray that God will allow us to be despised by men so that we will have power with God? It takes courage to say that prayer. Elias raised the dead. His prayer stopped rain for 3.5 years. He was fed by a raven and by a widow. It's not easy. He got discouraged. He thought he was the only one that worshiped God, as many of us think we're the only ones who want to do the right thing by God. But he was told by God that there are 7,000 who have never bent the knee to anybody but the true God. He did his mission and was taken into heaven on a fiery chariot. And the prayer of his successor, Elisha, tells us what we must pray for. a double portion of his Spirit.